From Wall Street to Main Street to help small business owners have the same capital as corporate America and give them the same resources as a larger company. We cover business funding, business credit, scaling, business consulting, and much more. Check out the website at shieldadvisorygroup.com. Welcome to the show, The Liquid Lunch Project.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew Army, and alongside my partner, the Professor Luigi Rosabianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Matt, there is no one we love more than a disruptor, and there's a ton of trades and industries in this country that are prime for disruption. I can't think of one more so than real estate. Real estate has been done the same antiquated way with the blue hair crowd and their Louis Vuitton bags, going to property showings and the Sunday morning open houses, and it's just boring. It's over. It's done. We need to disrupt this. One company that's out there disrupting this industry is Property Guys. So we found the illustrious entrepreneur, very handsome, Karim the Dream Kerachni. He's actually joining us today from Malaysia. So you may be breaking a Liquid Lunch Project distance record for a recording. So welcome to the podcast, Karim. Tell us, what does Property Guys do different that all the other property companies can't?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. Very nice to meet you, Professor and Matt. So I am Karim Kerachni. I'm in charge of franchise development in Eastern Massachusetts for PropertyGuys.com. So what is Property Guys? It is very much a disruptor in the real estate industry, an industry that, as you mentioned, hasn't changed in over 100 years and very much needs changing. So that's what Property Guys came to do and has been doing now for 25 plus years. So the idea is to offer an alternative solution to property buyers and sellers, specifically sellers, because as you may know, when you want to sell any kind of property, whether big or small, residential, commercial, whether it is worth $250,000 to $2 million, you have to spend a lot of money. You have to get an agent, pay a pretty large commission, get some photographer, stager, lawyer, appraiser, and so on and so forth. And all of that, end up being anywhere between 20, 30 grand, upwards of 70, 80 grand. And that's nuts because it's your own property that you're trying to sell. So that's what Property Guys came to fix and offer something different. So the idea with Property Guys is to choose a package with all the services that you need and the expertise that you need to sell your property efficiently and quickly. So not only you can choose the level of control you want, but also those packages are all for one-time flat fee. So you're looking at 4 or 5 grand, even if your house is worth $2 million, and you sell it not on your own, actually, with all the services you need, listing on the MLS, on all platforms, negotiation, showings, lawyer for the close, etc., etc. So that's what's different with Property Guys, and they have a whole offering also in the buying side, rental space, and so on.
Kareem, it's a compelling argument, and the cost savings is obvious. But there's one difficulty with disruptors, and that is changing human behavior. How is Property Guys and how is Kareem positioned to try to change human behavior? Because as Matt and I like to say, we all got a guy. We got a guy who sells real estate. We got a guy. She's doing showings on Sunday mornings, right? So you always go to the guy. Please help us disrupt.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point. And I love hearing that because from my experience with Property Guys, from all the franchisee, and we've had hundreds of franchisee over the years that worked with, on average, about 100 clients a year. So 100 listings, similar number of buyers. So we've had a large number, of clients and stakeholder within the company. And so what really makes the difference right off the bat is the savings. You can have maybe even your brother or your best friend can be an agent, but if you're gonna get the exact same result for literally 1/10 of the cost, 5 grand instead of 50 grand, it's a no-brainer. And that's just the first step. This huge saving. Then some people, as I mentioned, do want to be more involved. a non-insignificant number of sellers do want to sell on their own for sale by owner, feasible. But often, I think 90 or 95% of them end up turning to the traditional model just because they don't know where to start. They don't know, who to connect with, how to do it properly, and so on and so forth. So all those people also do need a solution, and that's also what Property Guys came to offer. But really, to answer your question fully, it is the word of mouth. What we've seen in every market, every territories where we open, and we open from coast to coast in Canada and now in a few states in the US, is that getting started in a territory, in a town where a few people, try the process, are early adopters of this model, not only seeing how seamless this experience was, and then they ended up saving 20 or 30 grand or more. The word of mouth goes like wildfire everywhere we open. So our best, the best way to educate people is to have our first few clients in each territory, and then, it's a snowball effect.
Kareem, this is wonderful, and I wish you all the best of luck. But there are certain niche areas in the real estate world, especially in America, and they are near and dear to my heart and Matt's heart. New York, Miami, Chicago, LA, where the folks within the real estate industry haven't built moats. They've built moats with turrets, and they've got cannons firing at you every time you try to approach. Is there a strategy where Property Guys can attempt an attack in the real estate in these major metropolitan areas?
It actually makes me laugh because it's a very good analogy, and I've seen it, and every franchisee who started have seen that resistance from a real estate professional. And I'm even going to tell you, for the first maybe 6 months when I started in Massachusetts, and I was trying to figure out how to approach the market, I was myself a little worried to talk to agents. I was trying to avoid talking to agents about this model because I feared that there would be, as you said, those moats and cannons. But what I found, and I turned my strategy upside down maybe 6 months ago very successfully, I ended up targeting agents and mortgage brokers and real estate professionals because I found that they were in the best position to become franchisee. And even more, a lot of our franchisee or successful franchisee over the years came from the real estate industry or were a licensed agent. Why? Because when you think about it, only a few real estate agents are actually successful. I mean, widely successful, like we all think of, 7 or 8 figures. The vast majority of real estate agents, North America wide, they're either barely making a living, barely breaking 6 figures, or even just doing that part-time in, 2, 3, 4 deals a year. So when you offer them the opportunity to not only being different, standing out from the crowd, offering something different than every other agent in the industry, being the only one, because they have an exclusive territory. So anyone wanting to sell their property with Property Guys within their territory, it's their client. They don't have to buy those leads or anything. And just owning a business, a lot of agents think that they are business owners, but they're not. They're just contractors. They're going from one deal to the other. When you tell them that, hey, here, you can do what you like, which is real estate, be the only one, own your business, get your business to grow, gain in value, and then you can sell it after 5 or 10 years. You can sell it for a lot more you got it for. It actually very much strikes a chord every single time. So now I love talking to agents because you can see the light bulb in their eyes when you're actually explaining what we do. And as you mentioned, the real estate industry needs some renewing, some refreshing approach, and they know it. I mean, they love their commission, but they also know that a change is needed.
Kareem, you hit the nail on the head. I remember reading recently, there was a crazy statistic. In the island of Manhattan, there are something like 26,000 real estate agents, but there were only 10,000 transactions. And of those 10,000 transactions, they were shared among like 200 of them. So
exactly,
irregardless of the low barrier to entry in certain industries, at the end of the day, it almost becomes this old boys club. Kareem, you're in a very particular place that we'd love to benefit from your knowledge. You're an area developer for a major franchisor, and you're seeing certain trends. Where do you see the real estate, especially for single family homes, where do you see the industry going in the very short future? You know, we hear all sorts of rumors about lack of inventory, yet rates maintain 7.5%. You know, we hear the Generation Zers and millennials don't want to purchase homes because they like this loose and goosey lifestyle. So tell us, what do you see? Let's hear it from the master.
So it's a great question. I won't be able to answer fully. I apologize, because I'm not an agent. So I'm not directly within the real estate industry. I do interact a lot with agents and real estate professionals, and I'm not, a franchisee myself, and I don't do, I don't buy and sell in real estate. However, I do see some trends, and in Eastern Mass, as well as Halifax, where I'm from, in Nova Scotia, it's very, very similar market. It was pretty crazy a year ago. You could put a sign on front lawn and you get 10 offers. Now, a year later, it's almost the exact opposite. Sorry. I've seen that trend, but I didn't. The reason why I'm looking into those trends, the only reason is to see how franchisees do within those different type of markets. As I said, we're coast to coast, specifically in Canada, so we have all type of markets. And I see that this model does work with each of those markets. Not only when it's a seller's market, a hot market, because people really don't want to pay any commission in this situation, and vice versa when it is a colder market like we're experiencing right now with lower inventory, where people do like this model because they get to promote to price their property a little bit lower than everyone else and sell it a lot faster, since they're already making dozens of thousands of dollars of savings. So that's really what interests me within the real estate industry. And I often have that conversation with agents who actually ask me a very similar question. And I tell them, we've seen over 25 years and hundreds of franchisees that this model works no matter the market. So you don't need to be so reliant and so I want to say enslaved by how the market is doing. Agents are so focused into how the market is doing because that's how they know if they're going to be making a killing and like obnoxious numbers, or if they should take some vacations because they're probably not going to be able to work. As a franchisee, you actually get to work year round.
Thank you, Kareem. We've noticed the real estate industry take two very different approaches to sales and marketing. And one is that of the commodity. This unit is being sold at X per square foot. It's located in this area. As such, the value is this, right? So you're selling pork bellies. And then there's the approach where you want that wow effect, where the housewife walks into the house and is like, oh my God, I have to have this. It's so unique. It's so beautiful. My God, look at the granite countertops, right? What is the approach for property guys? Because if you're doing volume, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing there's a certain approach. But tell us, what works best in today's market when you're trying to work within the parameters of a franchise model?
Yeah. So again, that's so I do have some start of answers, for that question, but this is really in the I want to say in the proprietary, knowledge that comes with the franchise for each franchisee, and also, a type of experience that I haven't had since, I haven't been a franchisee. But the thing is, to answer your question, within the process of selling, for someone, and majority of them of clients, they do choose the full service package. So they actually get the service, amongst others, to as I said, a stager, photographer, appraiser to choose the right price for the property. They might have some drone shots of the property, 3D modeling of the property, and so on and so forth, as well as the showings professionally done by licensed agents locally with either with whom we partner or who are part of the franchisee's team, and then the negotiation and the close. So the process that or the value that what each client, each seller gets is either similar to the one of the traditional model, or even better because there are even more services included in that package. And each franchise, each area, each state and provinces have their own packages. That's the franchisee to choose. So you know what I mean. At the end of the day, they get the same value or better. It really this model doesn't change the approach of the selling process from A to Z, except from the standpoint that it's not just one person running the show, and that's why agents are so busy hustling 7 days a week as agents. In this process, it is a team effort because we partner with a whole bunch of real estate professionals, and each listing basically goes from one to the other of those local professionals that take care of each of those listings. Does that make sense?
On the surface, I love this model, right? Because I own multiple properties. As a matter of fact, I just wanted to contract on 2 of them, and every single property that I've ever bought, I've found myself, and I've negotiated basically myself, and the realtor was only the middleman, right? So I love that. However, I don't know if I'm sold on property, guys. Okay, I got a couple questions for you. Let's get down to brass tacks and let's see if the franchise actually makes sense, right? So I'm on your website. I'm looking through stuff. It seems you have 3 tiers, right? So essentially, you want a seller to come to a property guy's franchisee, right? And list their listing with them, okay? How much does it cost, and what's the difference between each tier bundle? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So as you mentioned, most franchisees do choose to have 3 packages, sometimes 2 and sometimes only 1. But in the case of 3, because it's the most common, you have let's call it the DIY package that contains just a handful of services. Say you get your listing on the MLS and on other, a few other platforms. You might get the professional lawyer, our local lawyer partner for the close, and maybe professional photography. I'm saying just as an example, and that package might be around $1,500, all included. Then you have the middle package and all the way up to the full service package, and that's usually the one that people choose because that's where you get the most value. So in the first package, just to clarify, you do everything else. You can do your own negotiation, just like you said you did, Matt. You would. Anyways, everything else is in your hands, and you can find your own experts.
How much is the full service package, and what does it include?
Yeah, so all the way to the full service package, I'll get to that in just a second. That's the one that typically contains everything, and the everything really differs from one territory to the other because the franchisee also builds partnerships with real estate professionals. But what is usually included, as I keep mentioning, the stager, photographer, appraiser, if the franchisee is not able to do appraisal, not certified to do appraisal himself, all the exposure, so listing on MLS and Zillow and Facebook and Craigslist and so on, as well as property guy's website. The proprietary also software behind, I didn't mention that, but there is a whole software behind for all the communication between each real estate professional, the franchisee, the resource center at home office, the client, the potential buyers as well. So all of that is super smooth and slick. And as I mentioned, the lawyer or title company for the close. So all of that and potentially more, as I mentioned earlier, the drone operator or drone shots for the property, the 3D modeling so all of that can be included, and it depends from one franchise to another. This package is usually the one around $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000. If it also contains some more licensed services like professional showings and writing the offer and the negotiation, it might go all the way up to $7,000 or $8,000 as a flat fee for the franchise. So it's not dependent on the value of your property. I really want to highlight that, but that package would be either $5,000 without the license for services or $8,000 with the license for services. Never more than $8,000 company-wide, because we want to always be vastly cheaper than the traditional model. So to answer your question in summary, between $1,000 and $8,000 for those packages.
Okay. So let's talk about showings. So your team, let's say we get the all-in package, your team will go out and show the properties. And is that shown by a licensed real estate agent? Who's letting people?
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. So if we offer a professional showing, that is by a licensed agent. So once again, there are two scenarios: if the franchisee is licensed or not. So if the franchisee is not licensed, which is actually the majority of franchisees so far, were not a licensed agent. They were focusing on all the services without being licensed agents themselves. In those cases, we actually partner with a local small real estate brokerage that offers services to the franchisee and potentially to multiple franchisee. They offer those license services for a determined amount. It can be $200 to put the listing on the MLS, and then $100 or $200 per showing, something like that. It's also negotiated case by case from one franchise to the other. That's one scenario done by a professional, and that is partner, and all those partnerships are exclusive partnerships with the franchisee. Then you have the other scenario that is more and more common now, because for the past 6-7 years, franchisee came with their license or got the opportunity to get licensed with our sister brokerage, Property Guys Direct Realty. If you want to check the website, PGDR. And so with this sister brokerage, licensed franchisee, in this case, the franchisee, he or she can provide those license services themselves, or hire some agents under them to provide those services, and again, pay them either a cut of the total or a flat amount that is determined by them as the business owner, as the franchisee owner. And there are all those scenarios. The reason I'm just to clarify something, the reason I'm not giving any straight up answers to all those questions is because we have had and we have so many scenarios. Those franchises are meant to be open to a pretty large number of profiles, from real estate professionals to multi-business owners, to aspiring entrepreneurs who have no business or real estate background. And so some want to be a lot more hands-on. We have some very successful franchisees who are very hands-on, pretty much do most of the services themselves, the photography, the staging, and so on. And some that come right away with the business mind and want to turn their business into a hands-off model where they delegate everything and they are super business minded in growing the business. Typically, they get a second and a third territory really quickly. As a quick example, to conclude on that, the next franchisee who is starting soon in about 1 to 2 weeks, he is in south of Boston. He is a very successful mortgage broker. He also has his real estate license, and now he's getting 2 territories. He's getting 2 franchise with a business partner, and that's actually his mindset. It's not only to grow quickly and to channel all those clients into their mortgage brokerage and vice versa.
What is the average cost of a franchise?
Yeah, so not average, the exact cost currently in Massachusetts, because it's all very transparent. So since we are fairly new to Massachusetts, right now the price is between $35,000 and $40,000 to own a territory. So we're making it super affordable. Then, in a few years, the cruising price will be around $60,000 to $75,000. That's how it is. Sorry, in Canada, it's between 50 and 75. In Massachusetts, it will likely be around the same. But either way, it is very affordable, especially when you add to that the operating capital. In particular, initially for the first year, anywhere between 30 to 60K to operate the business. It is very low overhead because the franchisor provides so much services to each individual franchisee. That's why you want to get into a franchise model, because marketing service is provided to you, lead generation service is provided to you. We have a call center in-house that does inbound and outbound calls, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things are removed from the shoulders of those franchisees in order for them to focus on business development for less than 100K.
What is the royalty or the marketing fees each year?
Royalty is 8%. It's on 8% on the revenue on the monthly basis. So we link our success with their success. If they're successful, the company is as well. So it's in our best interest to find the best fit.
And what's the average revenue of each franchise?
That varies widely from a $250,000 a year to 1.5 million a year. It really depends. I mean, just like in any franchise or any business for the matter, it's whatever you put into it. We can provide the model, the brand, the reputation, the training and ongoing coaching, but then it's up to the franchisee to put, you know, the time, the effort. And I mean, again, we've seen it again and again and again. If they follow the process and, you know, put their own, you know, effort and touch, they will be successful. This is, you know, there is no way around it.
What's the average net profit margin?
Net profit margin, again, I can't really give an average because we have so many franchises. You know, I don't actually even have that number, to be completely frank.
Well,
but it's typically between 40 and 50.
Don't you guys have an FDD that you got to pass out to everybody? A franchise disclosure document that lists all the franchisors in there? Okay, so it should be listed in there.
Yeah. It should be, yeah, probably is. I just don't have it top of mind right now. And for the FDD, we do. It's one of the steps in the process. But you know, they have to sign a receipt for it, and you know, we send it pretty quickly. I'm sorry, I just don't have that number top of mind. I just know that it ranges between 35 and 50% profit margin typically. The average, the exact numbers, that's the number that I don't have.
Kareem, this just goes to show even two warm, fuzzy guys like Matt and I have a difficult time being disrupted. So we wish you all the best. You've got your hands full. It's a wonderful opportunity, and it seems like Property Guys is suited to be a keen disruptor in the real estate industry. So good luck there. But Kareem, tell us, how did a nice Algerian fella vis-a-vis Canada get involved in the property business?
That's a great question. So I was born in Canada, as I mentioned, grew up in France, back to Canada about 10 years ago. And long story short, I started my first business about 5 years ago out on the Atlantic coast in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And again, long story short, my accountant, you know, I was already pretty hands-off in my business because my goal is always to, you know, build systems and processes, delegate, automate, and duplicate. So I came to that point where I had grown a very sustainable business in Halifax, copied that model to Ottawa. The business was doing pretty well, and having a conversation with my accountant, he introduced me to Property Guys out of the blue, just a friendly conversation, and I was sold. I mean, I was very easily disrupted, I guess, but I was sold very quickly on the model because I didn't realize that there was any other, you know, way to do real estate. And so anyways, I love the not only the model, but also, you know, the brand and so on. I went to home office, met everyone there, you know, including CEO, executives, so on. And so that opportunity emerged because they were looking into their US growth as well as other countries. And so, yeah, it came up that, I moved forward with that. I found a couple of investors, started a corporation, bought the rights on Massachusetts, and moved forward fairly quickly. I mean, all of that within less than a year, actually, from the moment I heard about it, and then launched in Mass. And it's been great so far. As I said, the response from everyone I talked to is amazing. I've had very quickly a lot of amazing leads, and now I have some franchisees starting in the weeks and months to come. So yeah, it's been awesome.
And it looks like it allows you to travel the world.
Exactly, and that was the extra challenge because obviously I'm not from Massachusetts. It is a new market for Property Guys, so those were big challenges. But I was like, that's not enough for me, so I decided to go travel. I got married in Kuwait, and then we've been traveling since for the past year. And it is something that I had in mind for a long time to actually. Quick note on my first business. One of the reasons why I was looking to remove myself from the process, work on the business, was to actually eventually go travel year round. And it just so happened that I was able to do the same thing with Property Guys, work fully remotely. And I got married to a wonderful lady who is also a travel addict. So we've been on the road for the past year now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, Kareem, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you. We want to be respectful of your time. Can you tell the audience how they can find you, and if they're interested in Property Guys, how to get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Matt. So to find me personally, the best place is LinkedIn. So you should have my name somewhere here. I'm the only one with that name, so you can find me very, very easily. And don't hesitate to reach out because I'm always happy to have all type of conversation. It doesn't have to be only Property Guys, even if you're looking for advice about entrepreneurship, the nomad lifestyle, whatever it might be. And then if you want to learn more about Property Guys, obviously propertyguys.com is a good place. But regarding the franchise specifically, simply type Property Guys Massachusetts. You will find the first result. It is my website with a lot more info about the franchise and catered to the US.
Kareem, thank you so much. One question before I let you run. What's your most favorite place you've traveled to so far since you've been living that nomad life?
It is a very tough question, probably the hardest question I had today. So, what comes, I love Southeast Asia. I've been here a bunch of times. Malaysia is amazing. I came here very purposefully. I've had that in mind for a long time. But actually, back in 2010-ish, one of my first trip was Ireland. I don't know if you guys been to Ireland. I was in France, so very easy to go to Ireland, maybe $50 flight. Went there for 10 days, and this trip, left me amazing memories to this day, and I can't wait to go back. And anyone who wants to travel to, Ireland and Scotland actually are extremely underrated. If you're looking for a beautiful place to go, I highly recommend Ireland.
You're pulling at the Meehan Irish heartstrings.
Oh, really? Well, here we go. That was not on purpose. I did not do my research that far.
Kareem, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, that's a wrap of the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the show. And make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Liquid Lunch Project.